Hi everyone, thank you all for being here today. My name is Nicole and today I'll be talking about my own model of communication and what led me to create my model. Communication can be easily described as the exchange of verbal and nonverbal messages between people. Aristotle was the first person to educate people on communication and how to effectively communicate with others. He also created the first ever model of communication, known as the linear model or the transmission model. This model focuses on the sender and the receiver, and the sender receiving or sending the message to the receiver, and there's no response or feedback involved. This model is very subject-oriented, and it is not expecting a response from the receiver. The easiest way to think about this is a radio station is conveying a message to the receiver, but they're not expecting a response back. The next model of communication is known as the interactive model. This model is a little bit more complex than the transmission in the fact that it expects a response from the receiver, known as feedback. The sender conveys a message to the receiver sends feedback to the sender, and that is a continuous cycle of send and receive. This model focuses on the interaction between people rather than the subject involved. The easiest way to think about this model is a teacher calling on a student in class, expecting a response. There's no right or wrong answer most of the time. They just want a response, and then the teacher responds, and that's how that works. The next model of communication is known as the transaction model. This model is the most complex of the three, and it involves social, environmental, and cultural context. This model focuses on the interactions between people and how they build those relationships in society. It does not focus on the messages involved. It focuses more on the relationships that these conversations and interactions build. My model of communication focuses on the interpersonal thoughts of others and how those interpersonal thoughts affect those relationships. My model begins with the sender. The sender then thinks interpersonally and thinks about social, environmental, and cultural cues, and then conveys their message. And then the receiver interpersonally talks to themselves and thinks about the situation they're in and why they should say what they should say and think about the impact of what they should say. This model is very similar to the transaction model, except I added the interpersonal connection because I think this is very important in society and people should think about what they're saying all the time because it is very important and it differs greatly in every situation. There are many times in society where people do not think about what they should say before they say it, and this causes major problems. Interpersonal communication is extremely important, and that is why I added it to my communication model. Thank you all for being here today.